Okay, so you should be cool with linear, finding the inverse of linear functions. Finding the quadratic or the inverse of quadratic functions is not really any harder. We just have to remember that the opposite of something squared is a square root. Okay, so that's the only thing really that we're adding. So we're working with quadratics. When you've got a squared, that means that it's a quadratic function. So we've got f of x is negative 3x squared plus 6. This should be your first example on your paper. So first things first, we know this. I'm going to rewrite this as y equals negative 3x squared plus 6. And then remember to find the inverse, you've got to switch the x and the y. So x equals negative 3. Okay, so x equals negative 3 times y squared plus 6. Okay, so I've changed f of x to y, which you guys are cool with, and then I flip-flopped the x and the y, so no big deal. In this case, remember, I'm still solving for y. You're going to be doing that every single time. Okay, so your equations always need to be y equals. I need the y by itself. Like I said in the first videos, start with the thing that's furthest away from the y, right? So we're looking at everything on this side. That's the side that the y's on. The negative 3 and the squared are right next to it. So we're going to start with the plus 6, right? To get rid of a plus 6, you minus it. So minus 6, minus 6. Well, on this side, we'll end up with x minus 6. And then over here, obviously, we've still got our negative 3y squared. Okay? So just like before, I'm going to get rid of this coefficient, so the number in front of that y. In this case, it's a negative 3. So negative 3 is being multiplied by y squared, so I'm going to divide, right, so I can cancel them. And then on this side, I'll divide by a negative 3, okay? So like I said, in some cases, we can leave it like that, okay? But for now, actually, we're going to split it up, and I'll show you why, okay? So I know I could put a 1 in front of that x, so I could have a negative 1/3 x, and then minus 6 over a negative 3. Okay, so I know that both things on the top are being divided by a negative 3. Okay, negative 1/3 is as simple as it's going to go, so we're going to leave it like that. So negative 1/3 x. Okay, so 1/3 over, or 1 over negative 3 is just negative 1/3 and x. That can't be simplified. Okay, now we've also got a negative 6 over a negative 3. So I wrote it over here as well. So negative 6 over negative 3. 6 over 3 is 2. You guys know that. But it's a negative divided by a negative. So it's a positive 2. Okay, so all I did was divide both of those things by negative 3, and I've got negative 1/3 x plus 2. Don't forget, we've still got y squared. Can't forget about that. Okay, so in order to get y by itself, if we got a squared here, you know the opposite of squaring something is finding the square root. So once you find the square root of something squared, that's going to leave us with y. We've got to do it over here as well, okay? So remember, it's going to be plus or minus the square root of negative 1/3 x plus 2. Y is now by itself. Okay, so we've reached the end. That was our goal. So our inverse function is plus or minus the square root of negative 1/3 x plus 2. Done.